Hey everyone, ready to dive into something really interesting. Today we're heading over to North Africa. We're going to unpack Morocco's ambitious plan to become a digital powerhouse. Yeah, you heard that right. Digital Morocco 2030, their strategy to basically leapfrog into the digital fast lane.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. They want to use tech to totally transform their country. We're talking the economy, public services, the whole shebang. It's a complete digital makeover.
Definitely not thinking small. We actually got our hands on their strategy document, Morocco Digital 2030, and it's clear that King Mohammed VI is the one leading this charge. So it's a top-down approach, but it seems like it's really become a nationwide effort.
Yeah, and that kind of leadership from the top is really important for something this big. I mean, the strategy emphasizes that everyone has a role to play: ministries, private businesses, even everyday people.
It's like they're all part of an orchestra, right? Working towards this digital symphony. But let's break down one part of it, the public services aspect. They're really going all in on this e-government idea, huh? Making things easier for people, especially when it comes to interacting with the government.
You got it. They basically want to dominate the Online Service Index, the OSI. It ranks how well countries provide digital public services, like how easy it is to get permits, access healthcare, or even just pay your taxes online. It's all about making things digital. They even put specific targets in the plan so they can keep track of how they're doing.
That's huge, especially for those in rural areas who, might normally spend days just dealing with bureaucracy and paperwork.
Exactly, and that's a really important point. A digital revolution only works if everyone's connected, right? And Morocco has a pretty big rural population. That's where bridging the digital divide comes in. The plan actually addresses this directly.
Right, because what's the point of a fancy digital government if people can't even get online? How are they going to make that happen? More fiber optic cables? Maybe some high-tech carrier pigeons?
Let's hope they have something a bit faster than pigeons. The plan basically has two main strategies. So there's the Plan National du Haut Débit, which means National Broadband Plan. That's all about making broadband internet much more available, especially in those underserved areas. And the second thing is subsidies, making internet access more affordable. They're acknowledging that these days the internet is basically like any other essential utility.
Subsidies, huh? That's interesting. Almost like they see internet access as the basic right now, not a luxury. Makes you wonder how this will play out on a global scale.
For sure, and it's a trend we are seeing in many places, and for good reason, To be part of the digital economy, you gotta be connected. And speaking of the digital economy, there's another really fascinating thing about Morocco's strategy, their take on cloud technology. They want what they call a sovereign cloud, meaning they want to keep important data within their own borders.
Wow, so instead of just relying on those big international cloud companies, they're building their own national data center. That's a pretty bold move. What's the reasoning there?
It's about control and security, really. Having their own cloud system means they can follow their own laws and regulations and basically have more control over their data. It's about finding a balance between the advantages of cloud computing, like efficiency, and the importance of controlling their own data.
It's a tough balance, right? Being part of the global internet, but also wanting that digital independence.
Yeah.
But a sovereign cloud is just one piece of the puzzle. To really make this digital leap happen, Morocco needs the right people, right? I mean, you can have all the technology in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, it's like having a Ferrari, but not knowing how to drive.
Totally. And the Digital Morocco 2030 plan, it gets that. They're really emphasizing digital literacy, especially in education. It's about making sure future generations, grow up with these skills ready for that digital world.
Yeah, starting them young, that makes sense. But what about people who are already working? Tech changes so fast. How do they plan to help people adapt and keep their skills up to date?
They've got a big focus on training and upskilling programs, like giving people the tools they need to keep up as industries change.
It's like giving everyone a crash course in this new digital world, right? Making sure they don't get left behind. But training's just the beginning. You need jobs, right? Opportunities where people can use these new skills.
Yeah.
So what's their plan for creating those opportunities, for building a digital economy?
Okay, so this is where things get even more interesting. They want to attract foreign investment in tech, like make Morocco the place to be for innovation, for startups, the whole 9 yards.
Like a digital gold rush, right?
Right.
Pulling in talent and investment from all over.
But it sounds like they're not just relying on outsiders. They want to grow their own talent too, right?
Absolutely. Supporting local startups, especially in areas like AI, cloud computing, things they see as crucial for the future. So it's like a two-pronged approach, bring in the big players, but also nurture the talent you already have. Smart. But we've talked a lot about the good stuff. What about the challenges? Does the plan mention any potential downsides to this whole digital transformation thing?
You know, it's refreshing that they're not just looking at this with rose-colored glasses. They actually address the risks, and one of the biggest ones they highlight is cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a big one. The more connected you are, the more vulnerable you become.
Yeah.
All those hackers just waiting to pounce.
Exactly. And a good chunk of the plan is dedicated to beefing up their cybersecurity and making sure their defenses are strong. They know this isn't a one-time thing. Either it's an ongoing battle.
Like a high-tech arms race, always trying to stay one step ahead. But besides trying to avoid getting hacked, what other concerns come up?
Data privacy, that's another big one they're focused on. With so much of our lives moving online, who controls that data? How's it being used? It's a big question.
It's a question everyone's asking these days. So how does Morocco want to deal with those concerns, especially with all this digital stuff going on?
They're all about strong data protection laws, making sure people's information is handled responsibly. They seem to be thinking ahead, which is good, trying to prevent problems instead of just reacting to them.
So it always comes back to people, right? Technology is just a tool. It's up to us to make sure it's used for good.
100%. It's about empowering people, not just digitizing everything. And it seems like they get that the Digital Morocco 2030 plan emphasizes the need for everyone to have a say in how this digital future takes shape.
It's like weaving together technology and humanity, creating a future where both can work together. But before we get too deep into that, let's not forget the elephant in the room, artificial intelligence.
Right. AI is everywhere in this plan, like it's the backbone of everything. And they're not just thinking about using AI, they want to be developers, innovators. That's where it gets really exciting.
AI, the backbone, huh? It's clear they see it as a key part of their digital transformation. So how are they going to go from just talking about AI to actually being leaders in the field? What's the plan?
They're going all in, investing a lot in developing local talent. Think research partnerships, working with universities, even those coding boot camps, but specifically for AI. And they're not just looking inward, they're trying to attract international AI experts too. Get them to share their knowledge, collaborate on projects.
So building up their own experts while also bringing in the best from around the world. Makes sense.
Exactly. And on top of that, they're making data more available because they know high quality data is like gold for AI.
It's like they're setting the stage, right? Creating an environment where AI can actually thrive.
Yeah. And to make sure they're not just developing AI for no reason, they want to build practical applications, like encouraging government agencies to use it, promoting it in healthcare, agriculture, even transportation.
Showing how AI can make a real difference in people's lives, not just some abstract concept.
Exactly, making AI a normal part of their society. But this brings up a big question. With all this talk about AI's potential, what about the ethical side of things? Making sure it's used responsibly, not just building powerful tools without thinking of the consequences.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? So how is Morocco approaching these ethical considerations, especially with a plan as ambitious as this?
It's good that you ask that because they actually address it directly in the Digital Morocco 2030 plan. Keep emphasizing responsible AI development. Like they're really thinking about the ethical side from the get-go.
That's good to hear. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, they're laying down some ground rules, establishing ethical guidelines for how AI is developed and used, and they're working to make developers and policymakers more aware of these issues.
There's no AI running wild, doing whatever it wants.
Exactly. Transparency is another big one. They want to make sure people understand how AI makes decisions, that there's accountability. No more of those black box situations where nobody knows what's going on.
Especially with things like healthcare or government services. You need to be able to trust the AI, right?
Absolutely. And it's not like they're just setting up these rules and then forgetting about them. They're talking about continuous monitoring, making sure AI systems are actually working the way they should, and that they're not biased or causing unintended problems.
So they're building this whole digital future with AI at its core, but they're trying to do it responsibly, which is encouraging to see.
Yeah, they're not afraid of the technology, but they're not naive about it either.
It seems like Morocco's really going beyond just the tech itself. They're thinking about their people, ethical concerns, and the kind of future they want to create.
Absolutely. They're proving that it's not just about having the latest gadgets or the fastest internet. It's about using technology to make things better for everyone.
It's a journey, that's for sure. And it'll be fascinating to see where it leads them. Who knows, maybe they'll become a model for other countries to follow.
One thing's for certain, their story really shows us that we have a choice in how technology shapes our future. It's not predetermined. It's up to us.
And that's a good place to leave it for today. We'll be keeping an eye on Morocco's digital journey, but for now, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.